I am going to be reading one of the books from Benchmark Education, Lexi's Lantern, by Gwendolyn Zepeda, illustrated by Kelly Canby. This story is a realistic fiction. That means that we are going to look for the genre features noted below as you read this book. Use these features to help you understand the text. So this genre is realistic fiction. Realistic fiction has things like the setting could exist in the real world. This could be a real city in a real country. The characters behave like real people. These could be real characters, real people in the real world. The plot includes events that could happen in real life. So again, the key word is real. All of these events in the story with this realistic city and the realistic people, it's like this really could happen. But it still is fiction. It's still fake. The main character faces a conflict that is resolved by the end of the story. Okay, so there is going to be a conflict in the story that is resolved. The story is told from a first person, I am going to go to the city. I am going to go see my aunt. Or a third person point of view, he or she. She is going to go into the city and she is going to go visit her aunt. It is going to be told from one of those two perspectives. The other thing I want to look at on this page is our table of contents. Chapter 1 is Welcome to Bangkok, Thailand, and it's going to begin on page 2. This is what I'm going to be reading in this video, is only chapter 1. Chapter 2, The First Search, begins on page 7, and we'll begin chapter 2 next week. Chapter 3, The Second Search, starts on page 10. Chapter 4, The Beautiful Temples, starts on page 16. And chapter 5, Lexi Makes Her Wish, starting on page 21. So this is a chapter book that we're going to be working on over the next few weeks. And again, today and tomorrow, we're going to be focusing on just chapter 1, Welcome to Bangkok, Thailand, starting on page 2. So let's go ahead and get started with Lexi's Lantern by Gwendolyn Zepeda, illustrated by Kelly Canby. Chapter 1, Welcome to Bangkok, Thailand. Lexi stared out the taxi window. She wiped at the sweat dripping down the back of her neck. When will we get to the hotel? She asked as she reached for her mother's hand. She peered up at the skyscrapers. She looked at the stores covered with cartoon characters and writing in another language. Nothing fit together. Finally, the taxi climbed up a winding driveway to a big white hotel. Lexi looked for her father near the doors. He had arrived in Thailand a week before them for business meetings. As Lexi and her mom walked into the hotel, people outside were speaking in a different language. Lexi couldn't understand a word they were saying. And this, I'm guessing, is, who do you guys think this is? Our main character, Lexi. And I'm going to also assume that this is probably her mom and her dad, right? And out this window of maybe what is their hotel room are the skyscrapers we talked about, right? Skyscrapers. Skyscrapers are super tall buildings, right? Here's 1 floor, 2 floor. You'd have to go up a elevator or a lot of stairs to get to the top of a skyscraper. I also see some fun Ferris wheel in the background and a lot of people. So it says Lexi couldn't understand a word they were saying, the people outside that were talking. Were they speaking Thai? She wondered. Notice the word Thai, and they are in Bangkok, Thailand. I wonder if the people in Thailand speak Thai. Inside, Lexi listened while her mother spoke with the hotel workers. When they finally got to their room, her father was there plugging in his phone. "Daddy, you're here," said Lexi. "Why didn't you meet us outside?" Lexi asked. "Sorry," he said. "I meant to be there to meet you, but I just discovered I lost my watch." "Oh no," said Lexi's mom. "Not the watch your father gave you." "I think it slipped off my wrist while I was sightseeing with my brother," said Lexi's dad. "How was your trip?" "It was very long," said Lexi. "But Daddy, how are you going to find your watch? Everything is so different here." "Let's not worry about that right now," he said. "We are going out to eat with your Uncle Arun and cousin Malay." There's an illustration of his watch. At lunch, Lexi picked at the noodles on her plate. They didn't smell like the noodles at home. She watched her cousin Malay and Uncle Arun cracking the heads off giant shrimp and eating the insides. Lexi could almost smell Abuela's chicken tortilla soup and secretly wished she could go home. Who's Abuela? And Abuela means grandma in Spanish. So I think Lexi might be Spanish. Lexi could almost smell Abuela's chicken tortilla soup and secretly wished she could go home. This is strange, Lexi thought. Looking around, let me reread that sentence. This is strange, Lexi thought, looking around. They were all eating at a tiny table on the sidewalk, while a woman cooked the shrimp on a cart right next to them as people and stray dogs walked by. Interesting. Think about how that's different than when we go to a restaurant. Then she looked across the street and saw a canal with boats. Women were hanging laundry from a bridge. Everything seemed so different from home. So a canal is like a tiny river, or sometimes larger, but it is like a river in a city where boats can go down. Malay and Lex told Lexi, "You came at a good time. The day after tomorrow is Loi Krathong, the Lantern Festival. Everyone in town will put a lantern in the river and make a wish." Uncle Arun said to Lexi's father, "You can wish to find your watch." Last page. "Where did you lose your watch, Daddy? We can go find it." "I don't know, sweetie. We went to so many places. The market, the mall, the temple. I do remember seeing a funny octopus when I went to check the time. But my watch was gone. I should have paid more attention." Her father looked sad. "I have to go back to work now. You and your mother have fun sightseeing." Lexi grabbed her mother's hand as her father and uncle disappeared into the crowd around them. "What if we get lost?" "Don't worry," Cousin Malay said. "I'll be your guide." Suddenly, Lexi had a thought. This could be an adventure. "Malay, are there octopuses at the market where my father visited?" "Yes, there are," Malay said. "Can we go there first? I want to look for Daddy's watch." And that is the end of chapter 1. And I'm guessing this might be the illustration of Lexi and her mom and her dad and her Uncle Arun and her cousin Malay. We are going to read more to find out later.